That's all it is.
And be brilliant, not just be in the moment, because you know, we're in the moment now, you and me.
Yeah.
You know, maybe we're brilliant, maybe we're not.
No, but we prepare for it.
We're prepared to be brilliant.
No, prepared for the moment.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying, because those guys, the guys at that level, in my opinion, I was never at level, no, but I was at the comparable level, you know. And I know,
did it professionally for many years. So
Billy Sheehan put it the best. When you are on a stage, it's not time to practice. It's not time to think. On a stage, you think, you stink. It's exactly what it is. Go back to all your performances and see if you ever screwed up, and I'm pretty sure you did, when you start thinking. If you don't think, but you have to be prepared, of course.
Of course.
You have to put in the work, the practice, and everything is a second nature. So like here, what are you doing? Are you looking for your words? Are you looking for, no, you're projecting. You have an attitude. You're in the moment.
Absolutely.
And you've spoken enough in your life. You're not looking for a particular word and you understand? So that's exactly, to me, what music does at a certain level, and what music should always do. You are projecting. You are in a moment, not brilliant, not, you know, what is brilliant for you might not be for me, or what is brilliant for me might not be for not Jeff Beck anymore, but somebody like Derek or Warren Hines or Robin Ford, you know. So it's a matter of perception, but what's on your, you know, in you able to control what you're doing and being in the moment and projecting this. What's happening, how somebody else out there perceive it, that's none of my business. You know, my business, I have to feel good about what I'm doing right now. You know, and what somebody judges after that, whether it's positive or negative, that's their perception of what I'm doing right now.
And I guess to take it a step further and make it like even more like musically connected, possibly, I guess it's the intention that counts, and you being like you said, 100% in the moment. It's almost like, what is dissonant, what is consonant, because it's the more you're exposed to stuff, the more you can do stuff to fully express what you have in your head. What one person might find that it's a mistake, it could be something that you very carefully thought about placing there.
Happy accident, people.
Yeah.
There's no mistakes.
Exactly.
A good musician doesn't make mistakes. It's only happy accidents.
But just to take it even further, like, it might not even have been a happy accident. It might have been your intent to play two notes that are a semitone apart together, because then you're going from that into a, like, if you slide up, right? You make it sound like that. Basically, and anybody that's listened to jazz, and specifically, like, I'll just use like a random example, randomly genius, Thelonious Monk. Like, you could listen to some of those things and go like, that's almost there. But no, that was there. It was not almost there. That is on point, and that was the intention, because his intention was not release, was tension. So he wanted to show, and then the release would come. And all music is just like, basically, like Jimmy Page would say, light and dark, you know, tension, release. So those moments of tension, what I'm trying to say is, sometimes tension comes because we had a happy accident, like you said. Sometimes the tension comes because we looked for something that would draw you in, and like a question mark at the end of a sentence. Am I doing this? Oh, yes, I am. So it's so hard to get to a point that you understand that, like, you practice and you read and you do like ear training, and you try to get everything right when you record. If you're like most people right now, a one-man band, or like you're doing everything from A to Z, so you're thinking about the idea, you then articulate the idea verbally, then you can play it on a certain instrument, then you have to record it visually, or audio, or whichever way, right? So most
and
of us right
doesn't
now.
ends there, then you have to bring it to somebody
Yeah.
else to be able to listen to it or to watch it or whatever.
So modern
it's-
artists have it harder in a way, but also more rewarding in that you can control the whole process A to Z, which means you need to invest a lot of time in stuff that's not necessarily writing music, if you like writing, or playing music, if playing music is interesting, because you also have to think about recording and editing and producing and putting it out in the world, all of these things, right?
Yeah.
But you get to have hands-on control. It's harder, obviously, than just walking into Abbey Road and go like, here, record me, right? It's harder because you have to put up with the inconsistencies of a space or of a budget if you don't have these kind of wonderful microphones like you have here or whatever it is. But that's also an opportunity, right?
Yeah.
To, like you said, be in the moment. You have an idea, you're a creative person, you might be a painter, maybe you don't have that shade of paint. Well, guess what, motherfucker? Make it with what you have. And maybe then 20 years from now, people are going to be selling that work for $500,000. And you'll be like, how did I get that color again? Like, oh my God, that color, that shade, oh my God, that's amazing. And you're like, actually did not have the right color.
You've
And I had
been
to
in
make
a
it.
moment and you know that the obstacles, they're practically in your head.
Yeah,
And there is a way around it.
always.
But if you thought that, basically we are brought up, we don't do this, don't do that, obstacles. So you have to reprogram yourself. And as you said, go be positive and find a way. Do it.
Yeah.
And that's what you're doing.
Like what we're doing right now, because obviously both Marius and myself, we were born doing podcasts. Joe Rogan ain't got shit on us. You just do stuff, and if it finds an audience,
Yeah.
if someone appreciates this, if someone finds something of value in it, that's all that it matters. But I
That's the
find
whole
that
point.
it clarifies on a very selfish level as an artist. I don't play for an audience. It's not like a FU audience. It's more like I absolutely need to be happy with what I'm doing, because if I don't give you my absolute best, and it has to satisfy me, it means nothing. Like, it's just like, why even bother?
Yeah.
Right? So you have to be up. So you have to satisfy the same as this. Like, it actually, thank you for this opportunity, because it clarifies. Like we were talking about Steve Jobs.
Lucien, Luci was with the idea.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's like we were saying earlier about Steve Jobs, when he said you can only connect the dots looking backwards. That's what it is. So now things are clearer in my head just thanks to your questions that are forcing me to seek answers that are not pre-written anywhere. And it actually, you might be the reason why I finally get over the last obstacle, the last hump of like, you know what? Let's just put it out there. Let's just do this thing that's been haunting in my head for like 5 minutes or 20 years. Like haunting me and like, this is not quite right. This is not quite right. And just try to give it 100% in that moment and just live with the output.
Yeah, it's exactly because if you keep on looking for that pink, which you don't have at the time, and you can get the exact nuance you want, but still you can get the picture out, and in time, at some point, that pink is going to show up somehow, somewhere, that's for sure. Universe provides. I really believe that. As Chinese said, when the student is ready, the teacher will show up. And that's with most things in life. Just prepare yourself and never mind that shade of pink. Replace it with whatever you have and keep on looking for it. And at some point, or don't even look for it, just keep it in mind. And when you see it, grab it and put it where it belongs.
And just to clarify, because it doesn't matter how brilliant we are or we think we are, for anybody to be brilliant at something, there's a lot of work that needs to be put in, like you said, when the student is ready. So there's I forgot his name. I think his name is Seth Godin. He's like a marketing guy, and he has a very interesting view. And basically, it boils down to the following: he writes. He's been writing a blog for years, right? And he doesn't assume that he's the smartest person in the world, even when it comes to his own trade, which is marketing, right? He writes and blogs because he made a commitment, because he sees himself as a writer. And as stupid as it sounds, what does the writer do? Well, he fucking writes. So he sees this as a job, like, and not in a talk down kind of way, like, it's just a job. No, it's in an elevated kind of like, this is my job because this is who I am. So because this is who I am, this is what I do. So he will sit down. It's a job, right? 9 to 5 or whatever time allots every single day, and he will write, being perfectly aware that the output could be shit or could be brilliant. But there is no way for it to be brilliant unless you write a lot. The same as a musician, unless you apply yourself. And like you said, when the student is ready, right? You have to put in the work time and time and time and time again. Acknowledging that some of those things could be just drafts. Some of those things could be just throw it in the bin, but it's a step closer to whatever it is that you have in your head, to your full potential, which is, doesn't matter if you're a writer, painter, sculptor, you have to show up, you have to put in the work, and then whatever masterpiece you're able to put in the world can only possibly, there's no guarantees that it will come out. The only guarantee is that if you don't put in the work, it will never come out.
Definitely, like that's the first condition. But you know, I agree with you, but not 100%. A few years back, I was thinking the same.
What?
The same thing. I was thinking, okay, put in the hours, and then for a while, and this happened to me. Like, I'm not a gifted musician. I'm not. I have to work really hard at my craft. And the more I work, the experience. With the experience, it comes, you know, with the work you put, the mistakes you make, the amount of mistakes is called experience. So you learn the shortcuts, and you learn how to avoid doing the same mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, you're gonna do newer ones, and you're gonna, you know,
happy accidents.
Exactly, happy accidents. And now, what I'm looking, it's, you know, I'm not anymore. At some point, I was putting in 6-8 hours a day of practicing, and was hard work, and it paid off in the certain technical aspects. Didn't help me with the songwriting, for instance, and didn't help me with. So that my point is the time you're putting in, the work you're putting in, has to be quality work, and you have to enjoy it as much as you enjoy playing, or very close to it. Why? Because it's more productive for me if I like what I'm doing. So I practice a certain thing because I'm gonna use it in a certain tune, and that in exchange helps me to improve maybe another tune or another part.
Absolutely.
Of the same tune.
But you're playing, right?
Yes.
That's the point that I'm making.
But I'm not doing scales headless,
look,
you know, like, okay, I mix a Lydian
this is the amount of time that I did
Phrygian.
scales. And don't ask me about scales. I have to go look that shit up. Like, I understand the concept of it. I practiced way back in the day, and it's not that I'm so past scales. I kept looking for a certain vibe and a certain sound, and thanks to you and the knowledge that you imparted and the years of doing the work of modifying instruments, it took me a long while, but I found at least what I think I like, in the sense that it allows me to be more myself. But every single time that I sat down to practice, and this is lack of discipline, I'm not sure this is a good thing. Don't do it. I mean, do it, whatever. So every single time I sit down to practice something, and I'm like, I'm going to practice, like you said, this scale or this thing. Possibly because my ADHD kicked in, even though never diagnosed. Everybody has it to a certain extent. Or like I'm just bored because whatever the hell ever. I just stray. I guess this happens a lot with creative types. That's why we don't do well in school, people. Because you have to engage someone who's creative into a creative fucking endeavor. You have to pull them in, not have them sit there like we do in school and go like, oh, you do this, you do that. So obviously, if you apply the same mentality to practicing, meaning like, I have to check stuff off a list because I need to do this now, there is a time for that when you really begin, right?
Yeah.
But then when you're a certain level, and I don't mean this disparagingly in any way. It's just where you feel like creatively you can flow more into like you're closer to the music you hear in your head as a musician.
Yeah.
I just done this by accident or because I'm freaking lazy. I don't know. I would just spend hours on an idea, but it was an idea that interested me. There is no way that I would have played as much as I would have played. I probably would have given up guitar if I had just tried to practice. I'm going to practice this scale because this song is in this key and I need to know every position of the scale. That's a very solid endeavor, but unfortunately,
it's solid as just
I can't. I tried and I cannot stay in that place. Every time that I try with that, it brings me somewhere else. And that place is better for me, meaning that I come up with a song idea. I come up with an arrangement. Oh, what about this? I don't really know the notes that I play. Like, okay, I know how to tune. Obviously, I was a guitar tech for years. But don't ask me. I have to stop and think for a moment. If you ask me, like, what are you doing there? I see that you're doubling. So you're doing an octave, okay? But or you're doing a fifth or whatever. But what is it? Like, is this like C? Is this B? Well, what are you doing? I have to stop for a second and think, oh, yeah, no, because I'm tuning like open D so that I'm here positioned. Okay, no, I'm doing a C. I don't.
Yeah.
And which would be a very good thing for me to do at a certain point. Sit down, write on a piece of paper, internalize more like what, oh, that's why I'm doing. But I'm just looking for a sound and I stumble upon things while looking for it. I kind of know by now, like, let me just put it that way. If I'm looking for a major third, I find it right away. That's not the point. But I don't know what the major third is, meaning I don't know what the bass note is. I just know that that's a major third. And not because I have perfect pitch. It's just, I know that this is the sound that I'm looking for because I've done it. Yeah. Oh, this is a perfect fourth. This is, I know it. Yeah, but like I know it in a relative way. I don't know it in a perfect pitch kind of way, right?
I understand.
And it's more like, but that's out of, and I took the long way around. If I had just sat down and do like pitch exercises, it would have been way easier, right? But it's like the people learning off of cassettes back in the day, or no, not cassettes, radio. That's not necessarily better than learning the little dots on a piece of paper, right? The written music.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily better. It's just a more possibly organic way because it removes a layer. Like you have to, even if you don't know that you're playing C or G or whatever, you have to match that sound with what comes out of your hands. It could be a song in your head, it could be a song on the radio, but you're trying to replicate something and you're removing a layer. Now, if you're doing it, if you get stuck, well, you're fucked. Because then, unless you have a great idea on how to move forward, you can't really rely on theory until you start pulling the stuff apart, pull the veil, see the puppet master behind, like, oh, that's what I'm looking for. But to just do it, it feels organically very, very good. I don't know how to put it.
But in your case, you don't, because writing and reading music, it's to me, it's mostly was done back in the day because they didn't have recorders. So the only way to remember it was to write it down. And then it was also the communication when you have like a symphonic orchestra or a big jazz ensemble. You need that. It's like a way of communication. So you need absolutely to read it. I don't think that it's that much an issue when you're alone. In your case, you communicate with who?
I have such a sad life. My friend just said I'm alone.
No. I'm alone too. It's like now
we're alone together, like Anouk said. Alone together.
So, but we don't exchange musical ideas to the point where I have to communicate you. Okay, in this tune, I'm using a diminished fifth or whatever. In this case, yes, we have to sharpen up our like the theory knowledge and everything, But it's been a long, which I remember when I used to be doing classical guitar, and the only way we can communicate, my teacher and myself, was through musical paper. And
I did that for a few weeks. And I wasn't horrible at it, but like I think it was a good thing my parents decided to stop paying. I was making progress, but that was not the right avenue.
Well, to me, was no option because it was the only way I could do it, and I could learn. I could get lessons was through classical music.
But it did help me a lot. And now in retrospect, between that, like taking just 6, 8 classical lessons and not being able to find a pick in Romania for years, like we spoke about this, I don't play with a pick today. So there's always like my amazing wife, Madi, says all the time, everything happens for a reason. Like there's a time and place for everything. Just that doesn't mean just lay back and let it happen. Sometimes you actively look to do stuff, like just the setup today. There's many people involved with very expensive gear, and the dedicated time because they're passionate about whatever the output of this is going to be, right? Things don't just fucking happen, but everything happens for a reason. So I'm not talking disparagingly about classical guitar, just it was not the avenue for me. It was not the avenue for you, but there was a valuable lesson to be had in that experience.
Exactly.
And I was laughing earlier because while you made an incredibly valid point about like written music that came before recorded music, that's just so, I never thought about it that way, but it's so obvious and like brilliant to put it that way. But I just thought about something that you told me way back. Remember our discussion about Jeff Beck? When I was like, I read somewhere an interview about Jeff Beck that said that he has guitars all throughout his house, but he would only pick one up when he felt like inspired. And because I'm a lazy ass, I told my good friend here, was like, see, I mean, Jeff Beck, he's my guy, he's my dude, he's saying that, that's why I'm doing. And basically he called me a lazy ass. And he was true, because obviously Jeff Beck and me, I mean, you don't see where I am on that scale because it's way below where the camera shoots. But like, it's just funny that you said it that way, because some people might understand it, but that's an easy excuse. The same as is like, I don't practice, or I don't read, or I don't do this. Whatever it is that you say, you put a negative in front, right? I do not do this. People will always assume that, like, you can position it as something positive, but some people will see it as an excuse. It's very easy to say that was before recording music. It's very easy to say you only pick up the guitar when you're inspired and this and that, because you don't want to put in the work to be because there is, again, value in knowing how to write. Yep. Maybe it's not immediate value to you or to me now, but thank God none of us are dead. So maybe in a few years when we revisit the subject, maybe I'll know how to, or you'll know how to, if this is where you want to go.
No, it's
not a
just
bad thing.
But look at somebody like, I'm looking at a poster, Steve Vai. Steve Vai writing music, that's what brought him where he is.
Like what is it? How did Zappa call him? Is Italian wizard boy or whatever? He had like virtuoso.
But him naturally. He again, according to him, he's not a born guitarist. He's not he worked really hard at it, and his main interest was how to compose, how to write music. That was the incentive, the main incentive, not the guitar itself. It came later and became the focus of his activity. But the main thing which got him into music was West Side Story. And the way it was composed, the way it was arranged, he had to learn how to put music on paper. That was his ultimate goal. And look what it brought him. And in doing this, he had to study. He had to go to Berkeley. He has to go here in a high school. He had an amazing teacher, which kept him. Then Joe Satriani was teaching him guitar, but not composing and stuff like that. That's all he learned in school, and he worked really hard at it. And that's what got him his job with Zappa, and that's what got him his job with David Lee Roth and Whitesnake, and then he took like a fish out of water, and he was able to do what he wanted to do.
Yeah, and I'm just, you mentioned like two of the greats, Satch and Vai, and it's wonderful how wonderfully different they are. Like they're both, it's no better, no worse, just completely like, if you look at, because they're shredders, virtuoso guitar players, big fucking deal. They are so different, not just playing wise, composing wise, like where the thing flows from, but they're equally great, but just completely different. And it's weird because one of them, like you said, was the other one's teacher at a certain point. But still, they sound and behave and like talk nothing alike. Very articulate, very intelligent human beings, amazing musicians, completely different.
But what they got in common besides being amazing guitar players and musicians, they amazing human beings too.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And you can just watch an interview with any one of them and like it's so immediately apparent.
Exactly.
Like the brilliance and equally the humbleness of like the same, even though they could be assholes. Like if they wanted to, because of the position that they earned through their hard work, they could be like,
and we have plenty of examples.
I'm sorry. They could be, I meant Yngwie Malmsteen. That's what I meant to say. But they're not. See? Was an amazing musician. And I'll just stop there.
Let's not give
Let's
names.
not. Yeah, they could be. No, but like this makes me.
He's an amazing musician too.
He is.
You know,
but he is an amazing musician, and I'll just stop there. But there's something that B.B. King, God rest his soul, said to, I forgot, it was another amazing blues guitar player. He was earning B.B. at his height, the height of his career, like earning accolades. Everybody go, oh my God, you're amazing, which he was, absolutely. But every time he would come off the stage, he wouldn't come like pounding his chest and going like, I'm the man. I showed you how it's done. You youngsters, no. He would always be humble about his stuff. And this is what he said to multiple people, including this amazing blues player whose name I forgot because, I don't know, shitty memory, I guess. He said, if you walk off, it doesn't matter how you played, but especially if it was a great performance. If you walk off stage humble, you've just magnified what you did up there by tenfold. Because you were like an absolute beast on stage and still a wonderful human being off stage. Just a normal person, normal in the sense of like everybody else is your equal, you're no better, you're no worse. When you do your thing, that's you on the stage, but now you're not on stage.
And on that note, I will thank you very much for this, and I will have to see how you're going to behave off camera now. Thank you very much.
It's a
Alex Donciu for you people.
I feel sorry for him right now because he's going to get to experience me off stage. No, I'm just kidding. Thank you very much for the opportunity. You've helped me come up with some answers for myself.
Great. Thank you. Thank you for watching.